Nick, what is the Transylvanian Society of Dracula all about?
It is a cultural, historic, non-profit society, non-governmental, non-religious, non-political, non-nothing. We are here because of the pressure of the Western romantics on Romania to disclose the whereabouts of the castle and the meaning of the master. Actually, it should be said that Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel, has only been translated in Romania as late as 1992.
Which must have been a shock to the Romanians.
We studied it. I'll tell you the result. The first vampire films were shown in Romania in 1992. Yet, there have always been a group of people, about 50 or 60 of them, who knew about this Dracula, both Draculas actually, as early as 1960. Who were they? Historians, interviewed by their colleagues in the West, the whereabouts of Vlad the Impaler, Dracula, 15th century.
Okay, let's separate these two figures right now.
Bram Stoker, the Irishman, was very much influenced by another vampire story written before him by Sheridan Le Fanu. And the title was Carmilla. The story was set somewhere in southern France. Carmilla was, of course, a vampiress.
All right.
He loved this story so much that the first form of Dracula was really a pastiche of Carmilla. The story was set in Austria. The title of the novel was not Dracula at the time, it was The Undead, and the name of the count was simply Count Vampire. Then his friend said, Bram, you are going to get into trouble, you are too close to Carmilla, so he let it aside. Then, months and years later, he learned about Transylvania. He liked the sounding of it. He went to the British Museum and said, give me everything you have on Transylvania. So these maps and albums and books, research came on his table. He got familiar with the story of Romania, and from among the many princes of Romania, he liked the sounding of Dracula. Mind you, at the time he finished the novel, he never heard yet of Transylvania and Prince Vlad the Impaler Dracula. It was a little later. Then he said, what does Dracula mean? Devil. Ah, that's my man, he said. So he crossed Count Vampire and said, Count Dracula. He crossed Austria and put Transylvania inside. And then he looked closer on the map and put it into the Borgo Pass. He could have put it anywhere, the story would have been as good, because what he actually did, he put a literary cloak over an archetype, the archetype of fear.
Yeah.
Then who else knew about Dracula back in the 1960s? 20 or 30 guides, like me, for instance. I was still in the college at the time and made a buck, working as a freelance guide for the local travel agency. It was one of the Americans who left their books behind that introduced me to what you know about Dracula.
Right.
So I read the book with surprise, delight, and fright. Then in 1972, two American professors of history from the Boston College, Florescu and McNally, said, hey, hold it. Dracula is not just a vampire, he's bearing the name of a 15th century Romanian prince.
Right.
That's how we got two Draculas, for the price of one. First of all, Transylvania has never been perceived as a real land. 8 out of 10 Americans believe Transylvania is a kind of a utopia, a Disneyland. Then, what to say about Vlad, an insignificant prince somewhere in the Balkans, 15th century, who would know about him? But all of a sudden, due to this revelation of 1972, the book called In Search of Dracula, the world came to know that the terrible count bears the name of a real 15th century Romanian prince. A little confusion was created between the two Draculas, who's who and what part does each perform. We noted that if we offer a tour, initiation tour called Dracula, but we give only the prince. A couple of days later, the tourists turn to us and say, hey, we are not here to listen to the story of your 15th century man. We are here for the vampire count. Where is he? That's how we learned that no matter how much the confusion holds, in the end, what the romantic of the world is looking for is the vampire count, is the vampire, is the archetype of the vampire.